Hi, it's Diederik Gelderman here, speaker, trainer, author of 4 published books and founder of Turbocharge Your Practice and Veterinary Business Academy. Thank you so much for joining me here, and thank you so much for the feedback and everything that I've received over the last month as we were doing the marketing month of February. The feedback that we've received on the 4 videos, on the hints and the tips and the clues has just been awesome. So thank you very much for that. And if by some chance you missed some of that or didn't get a chance to implement some of the strategies that we talked about, can I suggest that you go back and you do that? These strategies really work and really work well. And the reason I'm laughing is I still have a small house call practice that I do in a farm practice, and I happen to call in on one of my clients on Thursday actually, and she wanted a certificate for a dog, and she said, "By the way, I love your videos." And I said, "Di, what do you mean you love my videos?" And she said, "Well, I'm getting the marketing videos that you did for the month of February, and they're working really well for me." Now, what she does is she does hand-sewn curtains. So if anybody wants hand-sewn curtains, please contact me and I'll put you in contact with Di Smith. But anyway, there was a tagging issue. Somehow she got tagged inappropriately in Infusionsoft, and she got some videos. And she's applied them and it's worked really well. So this stuff works, and it's cross-contextual and it works for everyone. So if you haven't sat down and implemented this material, go to it. You really need to do it. So what we're moving on to today is we're actually going back. We're going back in time, and we're going back to October, November 2015. And if you recall, in that period of time, I phone shopped, secret shop, whatever you want to call it, over 350 veterinary practices all through the world. And we had a video at the end of that, a live online training in which I shared all the outcomes of those phone calls, and I gave you a series of training steps and training tools how to massively increase your booking rate from so-called inquiry or price shopper calls. And that's what I want to go back to. Why do I want to go back to that? Because there was one area of those phone shoppers that I didn't cover as well as I think I should have, and I want to cover it today. And it's all about selling yourself when you're on hold. Now, of those 350 phone shops that I did, I was put on hold, and notice I didn't say asked to be put on hold. I was put on hold. I was told I was going to go on hold in about half of those phone calls. And some of them lasted, 10 or 15 seconds. Quite a lot lasted 2 and 3 and 4 minutes, and half a dozen lasted 6 to 10 minutes. Yes, you heard me right. I was on hold for 6 to 10 minutes. Now, normally I wouldn't put up with that more than a minute, and that phone would be down and I'd be gone. But why did I want to do that? Because I wanted to see how long they actually left me there, whether they actually came around and rediscovered me there, and then what they said at the end of it. And I will say that no one thanked me, or almost no one thanked me, for being on hold. Couple actually did drop out. So that's what I want to talk about. I know that you don't leave clients on hold for 10 minutes or 6 minutes, or even for a minute, as a matter of fact. So I want to talk about those short on holds of the people that I got put on hold by, if that makes sense, or the practices that put me on hold. Only about half had a decent phone message. So what do I mean? Well, the bulk of them had nothing on hold, so all I hear was sss, that white air sound. Studies show that when you have sss on hold, 90% of your clients drop out within 30 seconds. So that's not acceptable. So the next step up is and I can't do it, it's the green sleeves or the ever sleeves, or the green sleeves ding 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 as the green sleeves, or piano type thing. So there was quite a few practices had those. Studies show that when you have those on hold, you are on hold a little bit longer, but not a lot less than the or not a lot longer than the so they're 2 strategies that you should immediately throw out. Then we got to the people who had a radio on hold. And that was really interesting as well, because during one of those sessions in which I had the radio while I was on hold, I actually heard an ad for another vet practice. So, do you want to advertise your local competitor to your client that's listening on hold? I think not. So radio's okay, but you've got to be really careful. Now, some more sort of stuff on radio on hold. A couple of the practices had real, what I call headbanger music on. And there's a percentage of your clients that will like headbanger music and will stay on hold, but the bulk of them will just hang that phone up. And then there was some people that had a classic FM type radio station on. And again, there's going to be a percentage of clients that don't like that sort of music and are going to click off. So then we're increasing, all the time. We're getting a little bit better every time. So then we had practices that actually had on-hold messaging. And some of this was good and some of it was not so good. Some of it, in fact, was excellent. And that's what you really need. Studies show that when you have excellent on-hold messaging, that your client that comes off hold is more likely to buy because that messaging's been excellent. So how do you create excellent on-hold messaging? There's two simple ways to do it. There's three simple ways to do it. One is you do it yourself, and we actually did this in our practice back in the early 2000s, and we were using tapes. Yes, tapes, not CDs, tapes, so cassette tapes, and we had a lot of nurses, but about 15 of those nurses and of the vets, and we had about 30 to 40 staff all up. They each did a 15 to 20 minute section that they recorded themselves with a mic onto a tape, and then we spliced that all together and that went on hold. Now that was really, really nice because Debbie was passionate about horses, so she talked about horses. Betty the groomer talked about grooming and keeping the coat up to scratch and all that sort of stuff. So you got a lot of really awesome stuff in those 15-second clips that we all put together. There's a lot of work and effort in that, and it's really hard to put a background music to the message, etc., etc. So it's very, very personal, and clients like it, but unless you do it really, really well, it loses some of its professionalism, and it can also almost make you look, hokey, if you like. So that's the first thing, and as I said, that's really great. It takes a lot of time, effort, and work though, and when you do it really well, it's probably the best of all the on-hold messaging that's available. But as I said, a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. Then we get to, we've got 2 and 3 to go, and 2 and 3 are sort of lumped, but I'm going to sort of split them. 2 and 3 are commercial on-hold messages. So you can actually go to a radio station. They've got all the voiceover artists, the people with the nice voices, and not that I've got a nice voice, but and they can do that background musicking and all those sorts of things, and that they're geared up to do that, but they don't work in the veterinary industry. They're not veterinary specific, and they do a good job, but it lacks some of the professionalism and expertise of the third group, which I'll get to in a minute. So on hold, your local radio station will do it well for you, but they'll probably say things like we appreciate your business, and that's just a real turn off for on hold messaging. We value your time on hold. Again, studies show that those sort of wordings just do not work on hold. That's not what clients want to hear. So then we get to the third tier, which is the businesses that do this professionally. And there are a lot of businesses that do this professionally, and some of them will do it in all industries. And again, they exist in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and the States. And then there are some, and they do a good job, but they're not veterinary specific. So it's certainly the best of the lot that we've talked about so far, but it's not veterinary specific. And it loses some things because the speakers or whoever does the speaking, whoever does the on-hold messaging is just not that au fait with the veterinary industry, and it just doesn't quite work. It's, like I said, it's the best of the lot so far, but it doesn't quite work. And it can be very expensive as well, because a lot of these professional on hold making type people, they'll work for big corporates, and when they work for big corporates, they're getting big corporate dollars to do that sort of stuff, and so often that's out of our price league, but you've still got to pay their prices because they don't understand the veterinary industry. And then we get to veterinary specific companies, and there's those all over the world as well. In Australia, we have a company called Pets on Hold, Brian Pickering and Kay Brown. They do a brilliant job. Why do they do a brilliant job? Are they technically any better? Do they have better equipment or anything else? No, but they've been working in the veterinary industry for 15 and 20 years, and this is what they do professionally, as well as other audio stuff for vets. So that's the sort of company that I'd recommend you go to, because they know the veterinary industry, they've been working in it for a long time, and their on-hold messaging converts your phone shopper clients to buy something, in inverted commas, whilst they're on hold from you. It keeps them engaged, it keeps them happy, it keeps them motivated, so when they get off the phone, they're happy to listen to what you have to say, etc., etc. So that's it. I just wanted to keep it really short and simple today. If you don't have on-hold messaging, you need to get it, and you need to get it now. Remember, 85% of all first-time contacts with your practice are made via the phone. And if you don't present yourself well on the phone, and as I said, in that 350 practices, I was put on hold half the time. So if you look at those numbers, you know, half your clients are put on hold when they ring you for the first time. You better wow them, because if you don't, there's another vet just around the corner and they're going to turn around and ring them. You've got 7 seconds to make a great impression on the phone. So grab some on hold messaging, get it done, and make that 7 seconds absolutely stand out and differentiate you. See you next week. Bye.